project, we're looking at athletes and all the aspects of college athletes go through. For my part, I'm going to be looking at scholarships, and right here it shows just how much money really goes into athletic scholarships per year. Total revenue, I couldn't fit this whole chart on, but total revenue is around $30 million that UK makes every year, and so all of this just goes to student aid, as you can tell. There was a study done, the study that I found, and they looked at how motivated athletes with scholarships are compared to athletes without scholarships. And they came to find out that the athletes that actually had scholarships were a lot more motivated to do better in school and to do better with their with actually playing the sport, just because they wanted to keep that scholarship. And the ones that didn't have scholarships already, they weren't as motivated because I guess they just didn't feel like they were they had a chance to get the scholarships. Right here it shows that UK, the Department of Athletics, they donate a lot of money just about every year to actual academic scholarships. And this particular scholarship is for people from southeastern Kentucky, so like the Appalachian area, and they take a certain amount of money. So as you see, this is $500,000 a year for 15 years, and they actually put that towards scholarships, specifically for people in the Appalachian areas with not a whole lot of money, just to help them go to college. And here it is again, the athletic department, they pay $3 million to just the general fund. And this one goes to the Singletary Scholarship. The Singletary Scholarship literally pays for everything, and you get a stipend. It's for, from what I could find, is specifically like more academic scholarship than athletic scholarship. It's based highly on your ACT and your SAT scores.
I'm focusing a lot on the academic side of an athlete's life. This is pretty much centered around going to class and going to CATS, which is the Center for Academic and Tutorial Services. This is where athletes go to do homework and go to tutors and meet with their advisors and study for tests and quizzes. Each sport has a different advisor, and they help them schedule classes each semester and keep up with grades and classwork. And there are many rules for athletes when it comes to academics. If you have below a 3.0 GPA, you have mandatory tutors. If you don't cancel 24 hours in advance, you have to pay $25. Class is not optional, and they periodically send people to go check up on you. And if they find that you're not in class, then you have like a punishment by your coach and advisor. Also, each team has different study hall requirements, and you can meet these through the quiet study here, or the computer lab, or tutors. And each sport is different. Like for soccer, we have 6 hours that we have to meet, and we can get those to the quiet study or tutors, which are 50 minutes long, or the computer lab. But like for gymnastics, they have to get 8 hours, and they can only get it through quiet study. Like they can't get it through tutors or computer lab or anything. So it's just like different with each sport. And then like if you have travel weekends, then your hour requirements are reduced. And after freshman year, you can get your hours reduced as long as you keep a good GPA throughout your 4 years. So.
Students see athletes missing a lot of school due to traveling for competitions, and they may feel like athletes get an easy way out on things and feel like it's unfair, but in reality, athletes have to tend to be more on top of things and be more responsible, because with busy travel schedules, there's a lot of missing of classes and lectures, and the demands on student athletes are exhausting on an athlete. The SEC, which is our university policy here for student athletes, says that the individual responsibility of each athlete is to attend all classes when on campus, and with this, student athletes also have to remind their teachers about when they're missing and that they're a part of a sport, and they have to tell them this in the beginning of the semester, and then 2 days at least prior to when they leave for an event, and they also have to give pre-excusal forms. Students, or athletes are just like students too, they're required to complete all the work that's in class, that goes into classes, and on the same time frame, even though they may be away at points. And the only difference is that student athletes end up missing a lot of lectures and class time, so a lot of their studying is on their own, and they have to try to teach themselves a little bit more because they won't get any of that stuff back. And with traveling, student athletes usually, or the teams usually leave a day prior to an event because traveling can be so exhausting and there's a lot of prep to go into competition. And a cool thing here at UK is that the athletes have the luxury to have a charter flight to travel to places. And this is basically, it saves time and it's more efficient, and it saves class time that students won't go back.
As we all know, the men's basketball last year won their 8th NCAA championships. The women were also victorious last year, and many other sports that we hear that we don't hear about, like soccer or gymnastics, they were also victorious last year. And some may ask, like, okay, well, they're bringing in a lot of money, but where is this money going? We saw a study that was done that the football coaches make almost $750,000 more than the university president. In our case, it's a basketball coach. So there was a guy named Joe Peak, and he was wondering, like, okay, well, we're spending so much money towards the athletic part, like redoing the home court at Rupp. You know, we're spending all this money, but what are we doing for the athletic part? I mean, for the academic part. And so this guy right here, his name is Mick Barnhart, and he was the director of the Athletic Association. Well, there's no Athletic Association anymore. It's a division of the Board of Trustees now, because they felt like the athletic program was almost like they were their own little business. They were doing things and weren't running it through the Board of Trustees, and things were getting done that weren't voted on and nobody really knew about. So the guy named Joe Peak, he felt like we're losing track of what we're supposed to be, which is one big nation, which is a single thing, not our own little things going on. And so he feels like we should all contribute to making the university better, not, you know, trying to make just the athletic program better. He said he's not he's not anti-athletics, he's just pro-education. He feels like we've lost our priorities.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about some issues that athletes are facing right now. In 2011, the University of Texas football team went 8-5, but they made $77.9 million. In 2010, UConn women's basketball team went 39-0, and they lost almost $800,000. The fact is that most colleges only see profit from their football and basketball teams because, you know, there's just not money there. When you have college basketball, men's, and football, they're big money businesses, and when you get that, you get greed and corruption, and what ends up happening is players get improper benefits from boosters a lot of the time. They have improper contacts with agents, and a lot of times players get ineligible because of this, and it creates embarrassment for the university, and it hurts a player's future. Some people believe that the best way of preventing this contact with agents, boosters, would be to pay the players. Coaches can make a lot of money, especially in football and basketball, and a lot of these players make the university money by performing well on their court, the field, and the way our country works is if you work hard, a lot of people think you should get the money, and if you're making an organization money, you should see a benefit from that. So some people think we should pay athletes. Other people think that paying athletes would diminish college athletics because they're getting a free education, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And a lot of times with sports, the big money sports like basketball and football, college athletics is kind of like an audition for the future. If you see here, Robert Griffin III, he played very well in college, and then he got to the NFL, he made a lot of money, and I don't think he's going to be complaining about not getting paid in college. Another thing that it does is it diminishes the fact that, diminishes the education. Like, if you're being paid to be in school, that's not really the purpose of an education. So that's what some people think. Thank you.
All right, good job, guys. Okay, questions for the athletes. Yeah, no, don't run off just yet. Questions for our athletes. Well, let me see if I can break this down just a little bit. So I think Bradley, Isiana, and Chris, you all sort of touched on the financial stuff. And then, let's see, Kara and Courtney, sounds like you talked a little bit more about some of the resources that athletes have, right? So I guess I'll begin with you two. So Courtney, you mentioned the thing about the chartered flights, stuff like that. Do most universities have those for their athletics programs?
You're starting to see like more and more get them, but they're really expensive.
Right.
But they're really beneficial to teams because it allows like students to not miss as much school because you don't have to go through airport security or baggage claim or be in a big airport with a bunch of people. It's just you go up to the plane, put your bags on, and then go.
Good, good. So let me ask then, Kara. Kara, you knew about this already, the chartered flights? Do all teams have access to those flights, or is it only certain teams?
I think it just depends. Like and it kind of depends on the game too. Like we took like, I think 3 weekends we had charter flights, and then like one we took a bus because it wasn't as far. But I think most teams use charter flights. I think.
Are there any teams that are given priority? Like if they just have to fly to Tennessee for the weekend?
I mean, I'm sure like football and basketball like have their own like plane, but I don't really know.
Sure. All right. We never know. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So then, Bradley, I saw some of the stuff about scholarships. I think it was somewhere like around $6 million for men's and women's, something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So, why do you think those scholarship numbers are so big? Where does the money come from, and what do we use it for?
I mean, I had a hard time finding a lot of stuff on athletic scholarships.
Right.
But from what I could find, a lot of it is they use it for recruiting. I know that actually with the chart that I showed, that it was actually a really big chart, and I couldn't fit it on there. Didn't even have enough time to talk about it. But they had a whole separate fund for just recruiting. And with the total number that they spend per year is like $30-something million just on athletics. But with the scholarships, I mean, I think the reason it would be so high is just because with the recruiting process, you know, they're going to offer those people, if it's like a student that they really want on their team, they're going to offer them a full ride. And so, you know, if you offer me a full ride to go play, you can go water polo, hey, I might even do it. So, it's like, so yeah, you're going to be losing money just by offering me a full ride. So.
Yeah. But in terms of the recruitment, what kind of things you think they're doing when they bring the star to campus? I mean, what does that, you see what I'm saying? Like when you bring somebody who's a star from high school, they probably have to fly them in. What kind of stuff do they spend the money on to try to woo them?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the way I've always seen it, you know, is, you know, when you're in high school, you know, especially if you're within that sport, you're always watching that sport on television. So, I mean, I kind of feel, you know, by your senior year, most college, you know, most athletes that basically going to be playing on a college level know which schools they want to go to. So I don't really think colleges have to spend a whole lot of money bringing them in, like, you know, showing them the school, showing them what kind of benefits they'll have. I think, you know, I kind of figure by that point they pretty much already know and know which school they're going to want to
Okay.
go to. So.
Cool. Let's see. Let's bring it back then to Isiana. So I saw the interesting statistics about the coaches. Do you think they're overpaid, and why or why not?
That's a tough question. I feel like they're doing their job, but I don't feel like they should get as much. That's always a tough question. If they earned it, then they should get it, but I don't think it should be as much. I don't know, but that's a tough one.
Okay. All right. That's a good answer. And then let's go back to Chris. Chris, maybe you have an answer for that.
Yeah, I think some coaches are and some coaches aren't. Because if you're making the university money, I think that's always a good thing. And like football and basketball coaches generally aren't making the university money. So assuming that they're not getting paid, $10 million, I think it's pretty fair.
Would it be fair to pay them more, or use that money to pay some of the players?
personally, I don't think paying the players is a great idea, but I think giving them like a stipend so they can live like a normal college student would be a good idea, because a lot of them come from poor families and they can't even afford going out for pizza, so like, I don't think that'd be a problem, but